Going to get analysis on this now with Manoj Kewalramani. He's a China Studies Fellow at the Takshashila Institution and the author of The Smokeless War, China's Quest for Geopolitical Dominance, joining us from Bangalore in India. Thank you for speaking to us on this news hour. Now, William Lai, when he delivered that inauguration speech on Monday, when he spoke about more independence and democratic principles, surely he would have known that that type of language would anger China?
Thank you so much for having me here. Yes, I do agree with you. I think he would have known that that type of language would have angered China. I think there was enough signaling to that effect. Just earlier in April, you had the opposition, the former opposition leader, KMT's Ma Ying-jeou, who visited Beijing, and Xi Jinping, I think, had quite clearly articulated under what conditions he would like to have a much more normal relationship with China, with the Republic of China, Taiwan. And I think that William Lai understood that this is what's going to happen, but he's also sort of catering to his own pace, and he's catering to what are his own ideological convictions. He was always seen as far more pro-independence than Tsai Ing-wen. So it's not surprising that he has made these remarks, and Beijing has a point because the arguments that William Lai has made are clearly violating what China has said is their red line, like the previous speaker said. So it's not surprising that this has happened, but the fact that this has happened so swiftly, and it's come with a clear declaration that this is punishment for these kinds of comments, which therefore sets a precedent that going forward, as we see more actions by the William Lai government, you're likely to see a much more volatile status quo in the Taiwan Strait.
What could we then expect from China in terms of more measures? Now they're conducting these military drills, but if there were political or economic measures put in place, what could those possibly look like?
Yeah, I think you'll see a gamut of measures, right? I mean, I think Beijing over the last 10 years or so has sort of created a set of a toolkit where it's hurt Taiwanese exports, it's hurt trade, it's hurt investment. At the same time, it's tried to sort of constrain Taiwan's diplomatic space by poaching allies. It's constrained Taiwan's diplomatic space by trying to limit the engagement of the Taiwanese leadership at international organizations. So the World Health Organization is one example, and this was a big flashpoint during the COVID-19 pandemic. So you'll see a set of toolkit that will be unveiled. It's also imposed sanctions on specific individuals, so you're likely to see some bits of that potentially. But I think the idea of using military force. You're not going to see constant military force and constant blockades, but you can see escalatory actions depending on what Taiwan does. I think the more interesting thing, however, is how Beijing uses the domestic political frictions within Taiwan. So this last election didn't result in a clear victory for DPP all round. The DPP held on to the presidency, but it lost the legislature, right? In the legislature, you have two opposition parties, the KMT and the DPP, which control a majority. And just as Lai is being inaugurated earlier in this week, you saw protests within Taiwan because of legislative reform bills that were brought about by the opposition, which seek to check the executive's power. So I think Beijing is going to be using a set of toolkits which entails military force, diplomatic, economic tools, but also tactics within Taiwanese, tactics of leveraging the domestic fissures within Taiwanese polity. And I think that's the interesting play over the next 5 years.
It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Manoj Kewalramani in Bangalore, good to get your take. Thank you.